Hey friends, it's Tutorial Thursday. We're going to do a couple of tutorials today. I'm going to catch up on videos that I owe you guys. You have a lot of questions and I have not answered them. So let's knock them all out today. We're just going to do 2 quick tutorials and 1 video at the end of this. So you guys can kind of see some answers to a lot of you guys' questions. The first question was about paper. So tutorial 1 will be on paper. Alright, so we have 2 types of paper that I would recommend. One is called Pastelmat, and if you follow Jason Morgan, who is a god amongst men for animal paintings, he does Pastelmat. He's tried all the papers, he likes Pastelmat. I prefer Velour, and again you have another animal painter named Emma Colbert, and I'll link both these guys in the description. So Emma Colbert does pets professionally. So I mean, she pays rent by doing pets, and she does it on velour. So Pastelmat and Velour are my 2 favorite papers, and the 2 papers that I would personally recommend that you guys go with. So look, what is the difference? What is a Pastelmat? What is a Velour? What are each good for? So let's talk about that. So all of the papers come in these big 20 by 20, 17-ish big sheets of paper like this. And each individual sheet, or you can cut them into 4ths and you get a piece this big. If you want to cut them into 1/8, obviously you're going to get a piece half that size. And a piece half that size would be sufficient for making a small animal. At one time I was making little animals that you could frame and take to work, and then you put it on your desk. Obviously this is going to be too big. 9 by 13, 10 by 14 is too large for that. But a smaller version of that would fit perfectly in this little bitty frame, and you could take it to work, and it's kind of fun. So this is Pastelmat. This is the one that Jason Morgan recommends. And one of the big benefits to this is you can make these small little bitty hairs. You can get this fine detail, and the hairs, you can see the contrast of the hairs really popping out. So you can get like a lot of detail with pastel pencils. So it's really nice to be able to do that. So if you're into drawing every single hair, and I know some of you are, then Pastelmat is definitely the way you want to go. And this is unlike the pastel paper that you've probably seen other people use, where it's really sandpapery. Some pastel paper is literally sandpaper from the hardware store, it feels like. So you know, after a while you hear people talking about that they wore off their fingerprint or something by rubbing the pastel paper. You won't have that problem with Pastelmat. This is a newer style. And if you look at these under a microscope, the sandpapers have like these, like almost corners where it comes up. And you can feel the sharpness of that. But the Pastelmat is more like a square, like, you know, just a square like this. So it doesn't have that sharpness to it, and it really is a really nice paper. So a big sheet of this is going to run you about $9 on Blick, whatever. So again, it's good for little finite little hairs. If you want to get a lot of little details, this is a perfect paper for that. And you can also use pan pastel. So here is a little pan of pan pastel, and you can use pan pastels with these. So you can get your little pan pastel. If you're not familiar with pan pastel, it's like a moist pastel. In other words, it's not a regular pastel that would fall out from the dust. It's moist, which holds it in here and also allows you to get some nice detail in through here. And you can see how smooth that goes on. This Pastelmat paper goes on really smooth. And as well, a regular pastel, any of your regular pastels will go on just as smooth. So this is a painting that I did. It's a cat, and it has a lot of fine little detailed hairs on the end, and that's why I chose Pastelmat for this particular cat. What you don't want to do is you don't want to get just completely married to a paper. Like I'm only using Pastelmat for the rest of my life. That's all I'm using. What you want to do is to have a little bit of variety, try some other papers, see if you like them or not. Not only that, but in velour gives you a completely different look. So if you're after the velour look, you want to go that way. If you're after a Pastelmat look, obviously you want to do that. So again, this is on Pastelmat. You can kind of see the style of this, and we'll do a head-by-head comparison in just a minute. But I just want to give you a focus on Pastelmat. So what I did was I just taped the Pastelmat to a piece of cardboard box I got from the local warehouse store. So that's really all I wanted to do, is just mount it on something. And I do that so I can take it out, turn it upside down, and beat it really good and get all the loose pastel off of it. So you also hear a bunch of people that they'll say they'll spray fix the pastels. Pastelmat, you don't have to do that because it really does hold the pastel well. You do need to turn it upside down and shake off the excess with all pastels. But some of the paper that you really need to spray, this is not going to be it. This has deep grooves, and the deep grooves will hang on to the pastel powder, so you do not have to spray it. And spraying it darkens it anyway, and you don't want to paint something for 3-4 hours. I don't really paint anything for 20 hours. I was going to say 20 hours. I don't have the patience. So you can do that. I also don't have the patience to make little bitty hairs on every single painting. I mean, I can, but I just don't. I get bored. So Pastelmat is a very rare thing that I'll do, but I do have some sheets of it. So let's take a look at Pastelmat. So here's a piece of light gray Pastelmat, and it comes in a bag when you get it, Clairefontaine Pastelmat. And on the back it's white, it's smooth on the back. You would not paint on this. And on the front, obviously, you have your a little bit rougher surface to paint on. So that's Pastelmat, and I really like Pastelmat. So one of the ones I recommend. If you're a stone cold newbie, never done anything before, you definitely want Pastelmat. I think one of the biggest advantages to Pastelmat, which you're not going to get with some others, is the ability to erase. So if you do some pastels on here or whatever, you can come back with an eraser and actually take it off, and it's not going to be a problem. You can't do that as good with the next paper. So if you need to erase, you need fine lines, I would go with Pastelmat. So let's move the Pastelmat out of here. Go with the next paper that I like and I prefer, which is Velour. So Velour is a soft, fluffy paper. It feels like if you've ever touched like flannel shirt, like see somebody in a flannel shirt and you go rubbing his shirt. You probably want to introduce yourself before you do that. Kind of weird, but it feels like a flannel shirt. And I refer to it as carpet because it does feel like a low shag carpet. A lot of advantages to this. One is when you do your painting, it's going to look furry. That could be good, that could be bad. If you're doing a landscape, you probably don't want a furry landscape, just saying. But if you're doing a pet, it's going to look amazing. It's going to look really good. So that is this is my go-to for a furry pet. And you get the furry look for free. In other words, you don't have to put any extra effort into getting that furry look, which is why I like it. Does have some disadvantages. One is it's really hard to erase. So let's ruin ourselves some of this. But before we do that, let me show you how thick it is. So this is how thick it is. It's really thin. So if you erase a lot on it, you're going to wear a hole in it. So you want to be careful with that and not erase a lot on it. It comes in different colors, and it comes in different styles. So this is dark gray here. Then this is light gray. And then Sherry, I forgot a color. Hey, Sherry. And then there's black. And the black is nice. We're going to do a painting with black coming up. So we have like a darker room with a light shining and a beautiful cat over here. You're going to use this black. It's going to be luscious and wonderful. It's going to be really cool. So they have like browns, grays, black, creams, beiges, and all this other stuff. So let's ruin us a piece after we do the different types of velour. So the two different types are a sheet and then a board. When I say board, I'm not talking about heavy cardboard. It's just, I'm sorry, heavy wood board. It's just a piece of cardboard. And what they did was they got a thin piece of cardboard and they mounted or glued or whatever a piece of this to it. That's all it is. It's this on a board. I don't like to use this all the time. And the reason is when you go to mat it, most mats don't sit up that high. They sit up a little lower. So what will happen is the framer has to use 3 or 4 mats to get it to the height that they need. So I don't use this all the time. Second disadvantage is with the board is you can't trace. So I can hang this on my computer screen and I can see the computer screen and I can trace. So I'll just trace on it. Obviously you can't do that with a board. Now you have to break out your carbon paper. So advantages, disadvantages there. So let's get the black and show you guys what is good and what is bad about this. First thing, if you like pan pastel, this is not going to be your paper. Let me show you why. Let's get us some pan pastel that works so great for the other paper. Let's put a little on. So you can see it went on okay, but as the analogy I refer to is it's like spreading peanut butter on your carpet. Spread peanut butter on a piece of bread, it goes down great. Spread peanut butter on your carpet and you get like this muddled mess, and that's what's happening here. It's actually taking all of the pan pastel. I mean, you have to just slather it on like that. I mean, you just have to slather, and it's uneven. It looks weird. It looks like a stain rather than a beautiful color going on. So I just don't like pan pastel on this surface. However, on this surface, pastels themselves will go really well. You can get, let's say, burnt sienna. No, let's get maple. You get a maple, and you can go across through here. You get this nice, beautiful, even coverage there. And there's no dust. You know how normally you get pastel dust? This holds on to the pastel so well. You have very little, very, very little dust compared to other surfaces. So that's a super soft pastel called Great American. And when you put it on here, it just looks fantastic. And then you can come in here and just sort of blend it a little bit. You can blend it in. And again, you have that softness because it's little hairs coming out instead of, you know, little mountains as per the other papers. So it looks nice. You have this nice, soft, fluffy look. You have this nice, soft, solid look to your pastel. And it looks great. Again, this is my preferred medium for pastels for painting pets because it just looks furry. It looks soft. And you can see the gaps here, little tiny gaps. And that's what gives it the softness. It's almost like a blur filter in Photoshop or something, where you have these little tiny little gaps, and that's because the hairs that are sticking up, the pastel will fall in there and it'll stick well. And even when you can't, you know, shake it off, and the pastel doesn't move around as much. So when you go to frame it and you hang it on the wall, the pastel doesn't drop down as much. Compare it to like if you walked up to your carpet and you spilled a cup of chalk dust into the carpet. Your first reaction is, this never coming out. Because the chalk dust is going to go to the very bottom of the carpet. I don't care how many times you vacuum, it's just never going to come up. So that's kind of what you have here. And that gives your pastel a secure, good surface to sit on. And it will not wander off. It will not put up a lot of dust. It will not fall off in the in your, your sister, when you give her a pet, it will not fall off in the frame and stuff like that. So it's a great surface. Now with Pastelmat, you saw me make all these little tiny little hairs. When you go in here, you can make hairs, but they look different. They're not little tiny microscopic little hairs. They're a bit larger. And again, that's because of all the fiber sticking up. When we run our pencil across it, it's only getting like this fiber and that fiber, and it's missing these others. Okay, so that's why you don't have a solid line. Like if you hit every fiber, it would be a nice solid straight line. But since you're only hitting 2 fibers or whatever, it's not going to be that straight. It's not going to be that perfect. So you have a soft line. Now a soft line, nothing says that that's not going to look good. Obviously everything here looks good. So there's ways around that. You don't have to stick with pastels. You can cheat. Again, I like to cheat. I don't like to waste a lot of time. What you can do is use alternate pencils other than pastel. One pencil I like is this Derwent Drawing. So these this is like a waxy pencil. It feels like a grease pencil, but it's Derwent Drawing, and this is Chinese white. They come in a big variety of colors. But when you make a line through here, you can make a nice straight, long line. You can make whiskers, you can do whatever, you can make nice lines. If I sharpen this to a really pointy tip, it would make even better lines. But so you can make some nice whiskers, furs, hairs. You can make nice lines with this. So this is an alternative in case you don't like the line produced by a pastel pencil. Second alternative you have is charcoal. So we have the General's charcoal white. You can get charcoal black white. They have some that come in different grays and browns and such. So when you make a hair with this one and you press hard, it looks really nice. So that comes out, and you have these nice fine hairs. And again, you can make a pretty long line with this. So I know in other people's videos they didn't like it because they couldn't make long lines. But you can. You just have to use an alternate method. You can make some nice hairs with this thing. So that again is General's charcoal. So a third option you can have is, third option is Prismacolor or any wax-based pencil. There's a variety of wax-based pencil. I like Prismacolors. They're easy to find anywhere, they're cheap, and you can get them in a wide variety of colors compared to any other brand. So Prismacolor is wax, and because of that, it's going to leave a wax residue. So you want to make sure when you do this that this is the absolute last thing you put on there, because you will wax bloom an area. So let's do that. So as with any colored pencil that you use anywhere, you have this wax bloomed area, and once you have that, if you try to come back with a pit pastel, for example, try to come over that area, it's not going to do anything. You're not going to have any marks. You're pretty much dead. That's a dead area at this point. So the only really thing you can do after that is get one of these white Sharpies and go over it if you want to. I'm not sure this is even going to work. These make so much noise. So you can get a white Sharpie and do that. It's not going to work just because I'm filming. Sherry, it's not going to work because I'm filming. You stupid Sharpie. Come on. Really? Alright. Forgot the big guns. Alright. Looks like I got an edit coming up. Alright, so the Prismacolor, again, you can see just how prominent this line is. So let's go to an example of why you'd want to do that. So if you look at this cat on the screen, now look up at the very center around that black area. You'll see these prominent hairs that are coming out. Some hairs on animals will have a light sort of sheening off of them. They'll be thicker. Because they're on top, they'll be more prominent. They'll be more noticeable. And you really have to be able to get that effect in your pets, right? Otherwise, you're just going to really be limited as what you can do. Your pet's going to be really flat. So for example, in this pet, this is Annabelle Lee, by the way. Say, hey, Annabelle. In this pet, I just showed you this area right here. And you can see I went here with a Prismacolor and I just kind of hit it really, really light with this more prominent wax-based pencil. And I did it at the end. So if I wax bloom this, it's okay. There's not going to be a problem because, you know, now I don't have to do any more pastel over it. So you can see these prominent hairs. Obviously, too much of a good thing is going to be too much. So you really want to kind of take it easy with that. So if you look again, we'll go to the hairs. If you look at the center, you really only have a small area where that is prevalent. So, and that's pretty much what we did with Annabelle Lee, is we came in here and just that small area, we hit it. And the light reflects off of those hairs. Because it's wax, it's reflective. The light reflects off of these hairs and really kind of pulls your eye into this and gives it a 3D depth that otherwise you would not have. The same goes with the highlight in the eye. I used Prismacolor because I wanted a nice, bright, reflective highlight area right here and then right here. And it really, really makes the eye pop. Really makes the eye pop out. And when I posted this on social media, like everybody said that the eyes looked so real, which is weird. I mean, you think about how weird it is to make an eye look that real on a surface like this, where all you're getting is like the smudges here and the smudge here. You know, to make an eye look that prominent is a really good feat of magic from this low shag carpet here. So overall, that's the two types of paper that I like. You can grab a piece. The thin paper is only $6 at like Blick. You can get it from a variety of sources if you want, and try it out. I would highly recommend this paper. It's a really good paper. I would not get the board if you're a newbie. The board is going to be thick. You can't trace. You can't do a lot of stuff with it. If you have to ship this like overseas or something, I like doing the board because it's a little more sturdy. So if I have to ship this off to Canada, to Japan, or whatever, then I will use a board for the most part because I know it's going to be more sturdy, as well as I don't have to mount it onto a cardboard. So this presentation, I mean, this is good for, this presentation is good for, you know, somebody you know, right? A family member, your sister, whatever. You're going to give her cat for Christmas. This presentation's okay, but it's a little too Walmart presentation to do for, you know, a higher end type thing. So in that case, I would definitely go for the board. So that is my introduction to papers. Good, bad, benefits, all that good stuff. I hope this bit has been educational, and I hope you learned a little something. If you have any questions whatsoever, please let me know, and I greatly appreciate you guys watching.